Hi, my name is Mitchell White, and I drive a 2008 Dodge Ram 2500 with a 6.7 liter Cummins. The thing that got me into vehicles, and especially modifying things from being stock and putting in that work, is my family, actually. My grandfather worked on cars his whole life. My uncle's in the automotive industry somewhat. My dad is in heavy trucks. So for me, it just came with the territory, and it came naturally to me also. So just from an early age, playing with model cars and then moving up. And my first car was a car that made me work on cars, because it was actually a 1977 Chrysler Cordoba. So messing with the carburetor, playing with the rear end, doing all that sorts of things that you need to on an old car to make it run. That Chrysler Cordoba, I found that back when people still used Wisconsin Auto and RV, the printed pamphlets that you would get from outside the gas station or by a restaurant. And I bought it, I was 15 and a half when I bought it, because it had to be me and my dad and my uncle going to get it, because I did not have an actual driver's license. I had a permit where I had to have somebody with me to drive it home. When I started driving, my first vehicle was that car, and it was a car because that was the stepping stone, that was the starting point. I always wanted to get into trucks because my dad and my uncle both always had pickups. When I started driving was when the whole scene was starting to shift from cars to trucks in mainstream media and things like that. So that also kind of was how I got involved with custom offsets, because that was when they just started on the first shop. Hung around the first shop just a little bit, and then once they moved to 1060 was when I started getting a little bit more involved, because things were really starting to go onwards and upwards. And that was also right around the time that I ended up buying this 2008 Cummins that I have now. Started looking for wheels and tires, looking for lift kit options, because that was the first vehicle that was not just the high school mods. We were chopping the exhaust off and shooting rattle can paint on things like that. For me with this truck, it was actually kind of an accidental build. I bought this when it was a work truck. It actually had bed liner from the body line down. It had ranch hand bumpers on it. It had a back rack. It was just the quintessential Wisconsin work truck. And that was what I bought it for. I bought it with the intention to put a plow on it, to run it through the winter, to do all of that. It just turned into so much more kind of overnight. Started really digging into this truck, getting underneath and doing the good once over that you do when you get a vehicle home for the first time. And there really wasn't much rust repair that had to be done on this truck at all. The tipping point on it was I decided to park it for the first winter that I owned it. And that was completely, like I said, the opposite direction of where I thought I was going to go with it. But that first time that I started plugging away at it, I started paint prep right away and pulled the box off, the fenders off, the bumpers off, all that stuff all came off, and door handles, glass, trim, everything. And that went so fast, because I had that all done in one weekend, that I said, this road is going to go down the path of doing this all right. I'm gonna paint the whole truck, do the frame, do all of it, because I'm to this point and I could kind of fix just the problem areas and blend and paint just a few panels, or go all the way. And it just was the natural choice to go all the way. So with this truck, I've kind of done phases with it. And the first phase was the paint and body and all of those things, where I went and sandblasted the frame, the bottom of the box, the bottom of the cab, painted the whole body, everything like that, put a cowl hood on it, put a roll pan on it, did all of those modifications that are kind of the next level stuff. Just went simple on the suspension, the wheels and tires, because that first go around, it had a leveling kit, 20 by 12 moto metals with 305 5520 Goodyear Duratrax, and it was a really solid truck for what it was. And so I ran it for a year and a half, or maybe even 2 years like that. That was kind of a budget-minded setup for the time, and I felt like I would know when the right opportunity came along, when the right wheel would come out, when the right tire that would kind of decide, now it's time to step it up a level. When ARKON started up and I first saw the Alexanders, I knew I had to have them. Actually, I bought the wheels before I bought the tires, before I bought the lift kit. I had the wheels on order, and then I said, okay, now I'm gonna package a lift kit, wheels and tires around the build. I went with the Furies naturally. They have been awesome tires, and they do that show truck size. The show truck, aspect ratio that's a little bit narrower, but still with that wide tread width so that you get that really aggressive look without having to go huge with the lift kit. And that allowed me to go with the Superlift. Right now I only have the front in because it's squatting season right now, so kind of had to do it. A lot of the guys around here have been playing with that, and really upsets people, so kind of had to do it that way. When I went and put the Superlift in, like I said, I've been running the truck for 2 years. I pulled the front axle out from under it. I had lots of rock chips and stuff like that, just like you do driving a truck every day down the highway, things like that. Blasting it again, painting the front frame section, painting the lift kit myself, everything like that. Got it put in, got the wheels and tires on, and right now that's where the truck sits. Bilstein shocks all around, and the 24x14 Alexanders with the 35 1350 Fury MTs. I drive this truck a lot, and I only get it out spring, summer, fall. So show truck season is absolutely when I'm putting the miles on. And I've been to other shows with it. I've been to some of the team stance unions. I've been to lots of local shows. I've had it in Kentucky, I've had it in Missouri. But the first big trip after the lift kit was on and the wheels and tires were on was down to Daytona for Daytona Truck Week. Definitely ask a lot out of it. I definitely drive the truck like I have the funds to put a new transmission in it. And it's just, that's the fun part about it for me, is it's almost not as much fun as building everything, but I definitely get equal enjoyment out of driving this thing. Being that the first iteration of the build is coming up on 4 years old, some of the other work is coming up on 2. I've got a lot of maintenance that I want to do over this winter, more so than anything. I've got some seals to change. I've got the rear lift to put in so that that truck actually does sit level, and I can stop hearing about that. That was fun for a summer, but there's definitely an end point to running around with a tooted truck. So in a succession of years, I would like to go bigger wheels, bigger tires, bigger lift kit, being that this truck is a summer truck. It's not something that I really use for work. I've got other trucks for that. I really want to make it worthy of the useless show truck title, because right now it's awesome. I love it. It turns heads. It's a really clean build, but I definitely want to up the altitude eventually. For me, the biggest thing that keeps me going and wanting to find new builds, wanting to work on other people's builds, is actually working on the builds. That is the biggest part for me, because building a vehicle that you want to be unique, that has different modifications, that it will stand out and you have to be subtle, or will be super flashy and still be reliable. Working all those things together and navigating around the challenges that come with them is the biggest thing for me, because there's tons of things that people will tell you you can't do, that you shouldn't do, that won't work, that you can make work. With the right planning, with the right forethought, you can work around almost everything that has to do with building and making things that are unique, but still reliable. The beautiful thing about this truck is it's never done. I've always got a different plan or a different phase for the build, that I can take it down a different road that tweaks it, takes it to that next level. That is what keeps me going on it, especially the fact that I have an extremely supportive family network that is into the builds, into the process, into working around problems and supporting you, helping you move forward. That is huge, because having that system, that support network tied in with the passion, makes it all worth it.